And welcome to the Box Score, brought to you by Carthage Safeway. Terry Collins with Justin. No, it's Murphy Ferry. He's back. Welcome back, Murphy.
Yeah, thank you. I was a road warrior last week, but it's good to be back. Thank you.
Murph, 9 games in the books. 2 more only to go before playoffs. It seems like the season has flown by.
It's been in high speed since mid to late August, and it just seems to get faster every year, doesn't it?
People are jockeying for playoff positions. People are jockeying for region championship, and some have already clinched region championships. But still, when you look, I think that's what makes sports so fun, is people trying to get into the postseason.
Yeah, and don't feel like you've been bothering me, because I've had 15 or 20 other people call reciting what they think is going to happen for them to get in and get out, and just wanted to know if I thought the same thing. I said, well, you've probably done more homework on it than I have.
Let's look at our game of the week, Huff and Puff Trucking game of the week. Smith County hosting Westmoreland in a Region 3 2A game. With the win, Smith County clinches the top seed, and if they continue to win, we'll have the first 3 playoff games at home. Our defense shows up big once again. Gets their 3rd shutout of the year, 4th time, I think, in a row, dating back to 2010 or 11, that Smith County has shut out Westmoreland. Murphy, not wow when you look at the stats, although we'll look at the individual stats, but I think one thing that really concerned Coach Dyer, went over to his house after the ball game, was those 11 penalties for 130 yards.
Yeah, and that's something that's really hard to put your finger on. You know, what makes it happen? A lot of times it has absolutely nothing to do with the players on the field. It has to do with the officials that have been assigned your game. Some just go after one particular thing a whole lot harder than maybe another group, and that obviously, especially in the playoffs, makes it very difficult when you start drawing officials from 150 or 200 miles away that are not used to calling it the same way the associations here in Middle Tennessee are.
Smith County defense on 45 snaps, Murphy, they give up, 103 yards and still are playing tremendous football.
That's awesome. When you can give up barely over 100 yards by the opposition, you're going to win a lot of football games that way. And on the other side of the line, Smith County almost with 300 total yards of offense. That was a good night's work.
Would have had 300, except they get in the shotgun and kneel on it, and Riley Martin loses yardage that way. So anyway, that was the final 3 snaps of the ball game. The big win for the Owls over Westmoreland to clinch the Region 3 2A regular season crown. Let's go ahead and look at some individual numbers. Riley Martin, a big night, 12 for 13. His only blemish was an interception. He did have 1 touchdown on a screen pass to Ethan Mabel. Ethan Mabel, a big night, 13 rushes for 43 yards, a couple of scores, and 1 reception for 67 yards and another score. So in his return, of course, he got hurt in the first half of the East Robertson game. Ethan Mabel made a big mark on the ball game.
Yeah, we were talking, Justin and I, before you got here, about the fact that actually Riley completed every pass he threw. It was just one was to the opposition, but that's a really good night, no doubt.
Cooper White, an excellent athlete for the Eagles, had 10 carries for 44 yards and then 4 receptions for 42. So he accounted for 84 of those 103 yards. And, that's a big win for Smith County. And, although they're open this week, they've got Monterey next week. I'm sure Matt Dyer is keeping it on the down low that they won the region. But even if they lose, they would be 4-1, along with East Robertson, who should beat Jackson County. And in a case of a 2-way tie, it goes back to head-to-head, which the Owls won 14-7 in Cross Plains. Let's go ahead and look at the Cannon County and Cascade. Cannon County, another heartbreaker, Murph. They lose to the champions, 28-22. Sawyer Lavarn, 22 rushes, 141 yards, 3 touchdowns, 4 receptions for 74 yards, so 215 yards of offense for him. Damian Byford, 8 for 11, 108 passing yards. He also had 12 carries for 93 yards and another score, but another close loss for the Lions.
Yeah, it's been a tough year. It really has for the Lions. And I talked to the head coach and one of the assistant coaches over the weekend. and they said, Murphy, we've played a really good football game. We just ran out of gas. They just don't have enough kids on the team that are capable of going in there and giving somebody a breather on a couple of series, and they just run out of gas.
Mr. Kine, for the first time, didn't make our stat page. I think he's made it, the entire year, but he's a great athlete. And opposing defenses, they know about Tucker Kine.
He's the one they're going to zero in on, and we'll find out this week. How much that happens on Marion County side. I saw them play last week at Forest, and they're not that outstanding a football team, but I'm sure their coach would say that was probably the worst game they'd played all year as well.
The Lions led by Colby Miller, 6 of 13, 130 passing yards, a couple of touchdowns, 14 rushes for 67 yards, and then Braden Smithson, 21 carries for 70 yards, a touchdown, 2 receptions for 54 yards.
I was just going to say, it's going to be really interesting when the playoffs roll around, because virtually every team that's in the same region with Cannon County has played Cascade, Forest, and Fayetteville. And those are probably 3 of the 4 teams that are going to the playoffs in that other region.
Let's go ahead and look at the Watertown, Grundy County. Watertown uses the freshman quarterback, Blake Waldorf. He comes in and 18 for 21, 291 yards, 4 touchdowns. Good-looking kid, Murphy, probably about, I'd say 6'2", 6'3", $175, $180. He's going to have a great future for them.
He's not going to be like a regular sophomore that plays for the team next year, because he's already got 1 full season under his belt and is showing some really great things for Purple Tiger fans.
I think this was his first start. I'm not 100% sure about that. But then you look, Brett Price, 7 receptions for 137 yards and 3 touchdowns. Grundy County led by Caden Sitz with 69 yards passing, 22 yards rushing. And then Colton Rogers had 11 carries, 55 yards, and 5 tackles. But Watertown, clinches probably a playoff berth with that win. And, they're looking for, bigger and better things. They're going to have to go on the road in the playoffs, but don't count the Purple Tigers out yet.
No, they've come a long way since August. They were a very, very young football team, but they've all got another full year under their belt for the most part. And there are some teams that they're going to line up against in 2 weeks that are going to be very cautious about the Purple Tigers.
We'll take a look at the region scores when we return to the box score, sponsored by Carthage Safeway.
Your trusted friend for all your grocery needs in Smith County is Carthage Safeway, your home-owned and home-operated supermarket. From the delicious USDA steaks in their meat department to the freshest produce around, Carthage Safeway is proud to serve you and your family. Todd and Angela Skurlock and everyone at Carthage Safeway are always there with a friendly smile and a helping hand. Great service, prices, and selection. That's Carthage Safeway, 80 Dixon Springs Highway, Carthage.
Neighbors help each other. It's how community works. And it's how we do business at DTC. You can count on us for internet, TV, and phone, backed by local support.
For a limited time, get 1 month free when you add or upgrade your internet package. Enjoy internet speed that can keep up with all you do.
DTC. We're working hard to be a good neighbor.
Hello, I'm Bruce Daniel. I've lived in Cannon County all my life. For the last 59 years, I've only made it across the highway. I married my wife, Melody, in 1981. We hauled our first load of freight in 1983 with 1 truck and a couple old barred trailers. We found a way to make it. Our employees are the backbone of our company. Some of our team members have been with us for more than 30 years.
Nearstar Middle Tennessee Mines in Gordonsville is hiring. We have open positions for Chief Geologist, General Mine Foreman, Mine Engineer, Graduate Mining Engineer, Electrical Superintendent, Mobile Superintendent, Mine Supervisor, and more. We offer competitive wages, excellent benefits, PTO, holiday pay, exceptional 401k, and lots more. Make the most of your future and your career. Join the excellent team at Nearstar Middle Tennessee Mines in Gordonsville.
And welcome back to the box score, presented to you by Carthage Safeway. Justin Malden And along with Murphy Fair, I'm Terry Collins. Glad to have you along. Let's go ahead and jump into the Region 4 1A Sonic of Carthage scores. Of course, Clay County, a big win over Red Bowling, 49-16. Gordonsville and Joe Burns were off. Of course, Gordonsville getting ready for a tough opponent on this Friday night when they play against Bledsoe County.
Absolutely.
And after that, they've got Clay County for the region championship.
Yeah, and Clay County's not the football team we watched the scores on in August and early September. They have come a long, long way, and I know Coach Lamb and company have got to be awfully pleased about that, but they still know that they've got a tough row to hoe when they come to Turney Ford Field.
Region standings look like this. Clay and Gordonsville will be playing for the top slot. Red Bowling Springs and Joe Burns will be playing for third here in the last 2 weeks of this regular season. I think both of those games are in week 11.
But all 4 of them get to go to the playoffs. That's all there are.
In Region 3 2A, you've got Smith County's win over Westmoreland. Trousdale County beating Monterey allowed the Owls to clinch the regular season championship. And then, it's an impressive win for Trousdale to go on the road and beat Monterey.
Terry, you were there at the Smith County Westmoreland game, obviously doing that on the radio, but did Coach Dyer just kind of pull the reins in a little bit on that and coast in the fourth quarter?
I wouldn't really say that. Westmoreland battles Murph for 48 minutes. We scored 2 touchdowns the first play of the second quarter and then 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, but now we had our starters in the entire way. Okay. And, you got to give the Eagles credit for continuing to battle. Let's go ahead and look at those region standings. Smith County on top at 4-0. East Robertson, the only team that can catch them, but with their loss to the Owls back earlier in the year, Smith County is the number 1 seed, and East Robertson is going to be the number 2 seed because they have beat both Trousdale County and Monterey. And of course, East Robertson's only game left is against Jackson County. The big game right there, Murphy, is going to be Trousdale County versus Westmoreland, which is coming up. I think that's in Hartsville, and that could be for third place in the region. You still don't know for sure what 4 teams are going to be there. Trousdale, Monterey, and Westmoreland, have a chance. Monterey's already won at Westmoreland. Monterey's already lost to Trousdale. So Westmoreland, they can't afford a loss to Trousdale County or they are out of the playoffs.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people right now, they don't worry about tomorrow, this Friday night. They don't worry about next Friday night. They're thinking about third round of the playoffs when there's a really good chance of Smith County playing East Robertson again. Right. That was one that went right down to the last play of the game, just about.
That's true. So let's go ahead and look at the Region 4 2A Sonic of Carthage scores. Fayetteville, a big win over Nashville Christian. Fayetteville seems to be getting better week by week and got a chance to be number 2 in that region. And then Cascade over Cannon County. Open dates was Forest and Marion County.
It's going to be interesting. Like I said, a lot of familiarity these 2 particular regions have with teams from the corresponding regions.
Let's go ahead and look at the region standings. 4-4-2-8. Marion and Cascade, of course, they still got to play. Marion County has Cannon County this week. So if Marion County wins, they've got to win those next 2 games. Well, they could actually lose to Cannon County theoretically and then beat Cascade in order to get the region championship. But when you look at that, Murph, I know that Fayetteville sitting there could jump as high as 2, but Cannon County's basically eliminated from the playoffs because they've lost to both Forest and Fayetteville, even if they beat Marion.
And I would say right now Fayetteville just may be the best 3-5 team in 2A. Right. Because they're playing a whole lot better football than they were in August and September.
Let's go ahead and look at Region 4 3A. Giles County big over Community, 69-14. Watertown big over Grundy County. Sequatchie County had the week off. Looking at the standings, you've got Giles County and Sequatchie on top. They've still got to meet. Of course, Sequatchie has the win over Watertown. Watertown got the win over Grundy County. So it looks like right now Community's probably the odd man out. Giles and Sequatchie will be 1 and 2. And then Watertown will be 3 in all likelihood, and Grundy will be 4. Kind of projecting. I know when I say that, but still, that's probably what's going to happen.
Once again, Giles County, like it is in so many regions, easily the cream of the crop from that group. And that's a team, Terry, that could go very deep into the postseason.
Look at Region 4, 4A. Let's look at their scores first. Upland beats White House 28-14. Everybody else had a bye. Upland was challenged there. In fact, they were behind in that ball game before coming back to win on the road at White House. Now looking at the actual standings, Upland has the win over Macon County. They've still got a big game with Stone Memorial coming up, Murph, which will determine the region championship. DeKalb needs a win over White County, or they could miss the playoffs.
There's a lot of different directions those first 5 teams could wind up in. It's just that crazy. It really is.
Looking at Livingston, Cumberland County, both are locked out of the playoffs. Let's go ahead and look at some other scores. York, fortunate. Friendship in the fourth quarter drove it into York territory, turned it over with an interception, and then about a 30-yard field goal by Friendship in the fourth quarter. Doink! It hits the upright and comes back. York hangs on 8-7 to York. I talked to Gary Clark on Saturday, I guess, and he said that York just has been able to kick a PAT. So they go for 2 every time, and they went for 2 and got it, and got the big win. Murphy, Stone Memorial and Friendship, that's 2 impressive wins by the Dragons. And the reason a lot of people are predicting York to go to the semifinals in 2A.
Well, they were there once before, several years ago, and ended up having to go all the way to Milan.
They were there last year.
Oh, that's right. But several years ago, they went all the way to Milan.
That's right.
For a semifinal round game. That's a half-a-day trip.
Right.
From Jamestown.
And in Lebanon, they had a big 28-7 lead, but squandered it. Mount Juliet comes back and wins it 38-31 in 2 overtimes. Meggs gets the win over Polk County 7-0, and Bearden over Oak Ridge 33-29.
New coaches at a lot of those schools, Bearden, Oak Ridge, Meggs County, all with new head coaches this year, and they've all done very, very well.
Let's look at the games that are coming up. Big one in Gordonsville, Bledsoe County, a very, very good ball team. Murphy, I think they're in Region...
They're in Region 2,
2A, correct? In there with York and them. They're bringing a solid club to Gordonsville.
Yeah, they're 6-2 on the season, 3-1 in the league, but they're playing really good football, and they've played some teams that we deem to be pretty good football teams during the regular season. So it's going to be a dogfight.
Bledsoe County, a narrow loss to York. May have played Marion as well. Clay County at Trousdale County. You got Joe Burns at Houston County, and you got Red Boiling Springs on the road against Community. Of course, Joe Burns and Red Boiling will play there in Week 11, just like Gordonsville and Clay County will play in Week 11.
York is one of Bledsoe County's 2 losses. The other one came at Sequatchie County. Right. They finished the regular season at home with Oneida next week.
Okay. Let's go ahead and look at the Region 3 2A games. Monterey at Jackson County. Of course, that could have playoff implications. Monterey's got to win that in order to try to, get into the playoffs. Portland's at Westmoreland. You got White House Heritage and Scott Murray going to Cross Plains to play against the very talented East Robertson Indians. And then you got Clay County going to the Creek Bank to play Trousdale County and Smith County Open Day.
Some interesting games there. It's Week 10 and Week 11 is loaded up with great football games that I'd love to see, but you can only see a couple on the same night.
That's true.
Fortunately, in Week 11, half the teams are playing on Thursday night, so that does give you an option for one more game.
Let's go ahead and look at Region 4 2A, our Huff and Puff Trucking Game of the Week on DTC Sports. One of the top 5 ranked team in Class 2A, Murphy. Marion County coming to Woodbury.
They were ranked 2 early last week, and obviously not a real great effort when they played at Forest High School in Chapel Hill, but nonetheless, Marion County, they're hungry. They haven't been to the championship game in a few years, a couple of decades actually, and when they had, 4 state championships in 6 years when in the 90s. But they'll give Cannon County all they want in Woodbury.
Murphy, what could be for second place and hosting a first-round playoff game, and against maybe a Trousdale County, the winner of that Cascade-Fayetteville game.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Like I said, Fayetteville playing awfully well, and Cascade played pretty well last week as well. So it's hard to tell who's going to come up out of that, the superior football team.
Looks like the Cascade-Fayetteville winner is 2, the loser's 3, and the way everything's sitting right now, maybe Forest at 4, but there's still games to be played and upsets to be made, but that's kind of what we're looking at. Region 4, 3A. You got Macon County traveling over to Watertown. Of course, Watertown down a little from what they have, and Kyle Shoulders has Macon County playing well. And when you look at Macon County, there's only one loss on the year, and that's coming to Upland by 7 points. Then you got Grundy County traveling to Sequatchie County. Which Sequatchie County team will we see, Murphy? That's the thing. The Indians have been a little bit inconsistent this year. Red Bowling Springs, that community, and then the open date is Giles County. But back to those top 2 games, Murphy. All 3, I think Red Bowling community has probably got the best chance to be the best game. You would think Sequatchie and Macon, the picks in those top 2.
4A is awfully strong, especially in Upper East Tennessee, where Elizabethton and Greenville, and they play next week for the region championships. But both of those teams are very highly ranked. But it wouldn't surprise me, Terry, and I think you would agree, Upperman, Macon County, and Stone, all on any given night, they could go 3, maybe 4 rounds in the playoffs themselves.
And I think when you look at the brackets, winning that region and getting there, depending on what the playoff bracket looks like, Murphy, but getting those games at home versus having to travel 2, 3, 4 hours could be a big key.
It's a big difference, and it alternates every year, and some people say, why are we always going on the road? But there's a lot of factors that enter that.
Region 4, 4A, looking at those games, you got DeKalb County at White County. We'll have Coach Trapp a little bit later to talk about that. Huge game in Sparta. The winner probably in the playoffs, loser's probably out, Murphy.
Yeah, and the guy sitting on the other side of this screen might want to go to Baxter and watch that one too, because I really think Stone Memorial will give Upperman all they want.
Big game there. It's got region championship ramifications. Livingston Academy at Cumberland County. Both those teams winless inside the region. And then you got, as we talked about, Macon County at Watertown. We'll have an interview with DeKalb County head coach Steve Trapp when we return to the Box Score, presented to you by Carthage Safeway.
Community Wellness Clinic is a nurse practitioner-owned and operated full-service medical clinic. Our emphasis is on good health and wellness throughout every generation of your family. We strive to provide the expert quality of care that our patients deserve and expect. Along with primary care services, we also offer a full complement of urgent care services. Let us be your family's good health partner. Community Wellness Clinic in Woodbury. Phone 615-563-7515.
Your trusted friend for all your grocery needs in Smith County is Carthage Safeway, your home-owned and home-operated supermarket. From the delicious USDA steaks in their meat department to the freshest produce around, Carthage Safeway is proud to serve you and your family. Todd and Angela Skurlock and everyone at Carthage Safeway are always there with a friendly smile and a helping hand. Great service, prices, and selection. That's Carthage Safeway, 80 Dixon Springs Highway, Carthage.
If you're a commercial driver looking for a company to call home, Huff & Puff Trucking is the company for you. Our employees are professional and dedicated individuals that take pride in what they do. We offer an outstanding pay package with a dispatch structure that maximizes your home time. To learn more about a company that knows you by name and treats you like family, call us at 1-800-965-5033 or visit our website at huffpufftrucking.com.
And welcome back to the Box Score. Terry Collins along with Murphy Fair. And we've got Coach Steve Trapp of DeKalb County High School with us. And Coach Trapp, thanks for visiting with us today.
I appreciate you guys letting me have the chance to talk some football with you.
It's always a good time as we only have 2 more Friday nights left. Actually, I think next week half the games across the state are being played on Thursday. So half the coaching staffs can go scout somebody for the playoffs, right? Injury-wise, let's talk that first, because I know that's been an issue for you, Coach, for the better part of the season. Anybody you're expecting back this week or next week that maybe has been out for a while?
A couple of weeks ago we was able to get Trapp back. We thought we had lost him for the year, and he's been able to come back in for us and make a big impact. Some of the things that we thought we were going to be able to do the entire year, especially the way that he can, make things happen with his athleticism, we've been able to see. But, we've had some guys, dinged up, bumps and bruises, getting in there playing. So the bye week for us last week, I couldn't say that it come at a better time, just allowing these guys to, be able to have a little bit of time off from the physical aspect of it. We still got a lot of time in. We were still in school on our bye week, so we still took advantage of our, our athletic period during the school day with our weightlifting and film review, and got a couple of days out on the field in just helmets. But no, we should have everybody available and ready to go, and hopefully they're hungry and refreshed and renewed and ready to make some noise here at the end of the season.
Coach, when you look, these next 2 weeks, very important. In fact, Friday night, I guess, very, very important. Your most important game of the year. When you play against White County, Trapp, an outstanding athlete for them. And I know that when you try to game plan against a player of his caliber, it's hard because he has the ability to run. He has an excellent arm. He can not only throw the quick outs, but, if he needs to throw it 50 or 60 yards, he has that ability.
Yeah, he's definitely a good player. He's had the attention of our entire region, and reasonably so. He's a very good athlete. He makes a lot of things happen. And no doubt he's a player that you have to try to contain. I don't think you can stop him 100%, but you do have to try to contain him. And when I mean that, we just, we can't give up those big, huge plays that he's capable of making. Being able to break one for 50, 60 yards and things like that. We got to make them earn everything that they get, and he's a big part of what they do. So, he's definitely somebody that we've looked at a whole lot in our game planning, but, as well as a few of the other guys also. So, they have the capability of, like you said, to, line it up and run it, but they can also spread it out and throw the football. So, it's just another one of those games, where each and every week you just got to be prepared, let your preparation do the talking, and get out there and get after it.
Coach, it makes it doubly hard, too, when you've got to practice against somebody like that, and you don't have anybody like that on your team, or they'd be on the first team instead of the scout team. So that makes it doubly hard, doesn't it?
Our quarterback is pretty good and mobile and can throw the football also. So, and he's not too entitled to not be able to play scout team quarterback. So we felt like we've had some guys give us some good looks. We've had multiple guys back there doing the quarterback job, and the quarterback run plus the throwing and all that. So, fortunately, we're able to have two scout teams kind of rotating in and out with, one focusing maybe more on the pass and the other one focusing more on maybe on the run. But I've liked what our young guys and our scout team players, which a lot of them are starters on the other side. If they don't play nothing else for us, then that's just part of the job is to get in there and play football. But so I've liked the looks that we've been able to get through the week, both offensively and defensively, and hopefully it pays off for us.
Yeah, and those scout team guys don't get the credit often that they deserve, do they?
They don't. It's critical. Sometimes you just, a lot of times you just got to remind them and tell them how much you appreciate the work that they're doing. Because a lot of times it's guys that don't ever get to step out on the field on Friday nights, but it's part of the process. It's part of developing some young kids. And, we've had some younger kids. We got a lot of sophomores that's starting for us now, and a lot of that's because they built trust up on what they did, as a scout team player, and then what they did as a Monday night player, and how they show up every single day. And we can rely on them to be there and just simply do things right. They may not be more athletic than another option that we have, but they're doing the things that we require better, and those are the types of kids that elevate themselves in our program.
Coach, when you look at Friday night, not 100% cut and dried, but, the probability is great. The winner of this game between White County and DeKalb County is in the playoffs, and the loser, in all likelihood, is out.
Yeah. It's basically, it's playoffs already for us. That's kind of the mindset that we've got. It's the mindset that we had in the last game, because if we didn't, do what we needed to do in the last game, then this one wouldn't have mattered. So, I mean, when you don't do the things that you feel like you're capable of doing early on in the season, especially within region, then, this is what you get at the end. It's a very tough region, a lot of quality opponents in it, and we've had a lot of close ball games, the last 2 years within region. Some we've been able to get, and some we've let slip through our hand, but this is a situation that we find ourselves in, and, these guys understand it. We're not hiding the fact that the consequences of this game can be very good or they can be very bad. But at the end of the day, we also tell them it's still just a football game. Whatever happens as far as playoffs going or not going, that will not be determined until the game is over. So we really need to focus on just playing the best football that we can.
The same things that you're having to tell your kids, do or die, is the same thing the White County staff is telling their kids, because they're out of the playoffs too if they lose the game, because they're 1-3 in the region. You're 2-2. The only reason you're going with a win is because the tiebreaker. If they lose, they're only going to be 1-4, and you'll be 3-2, and it's time to worry about somebody from Chattanooga, right?
I mean, I think that's a scenario that presents itself. So, I mean, it should be, it's all or nothing. I mean, really, if you want those extra opportunities to play, to prepare, to make money, to make memories, all that stuff comes with getting into playoffs. And ever since 2011, we've been, and it's something that we want to continue to do. January 4th, the first week of January when we get back, we always set our team goal, and it starts with winning a region, playing home for the playoffs, and then ultimately making sure we're in the playoffs. So the first two, that's not going to happen, so the goal that we still have left on the table as a team, as a program, is to make sure that we're in. And then once we get there, let's go play. So, like I said, we all understand what's at stake. We understand what it's going to take, and also understand that they're thinking and feeling the exact same way. So it should be a very exciting football game.
Coach, when you look, how important is it, and I know with you going as many years in a row that you've gone to playoffs, how important is it for your younger kids, your freshmen, sophomores, and juniors, that you make the playoff and get another 1, 2, 3, 4 week of practice, which you wouldn't have otherwise?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, those players may not realize it. I mean, some of the guys probably are like, man, I'll be glad when this is over and all, because like I said, you've got a group of kids on your team that, the JV games are over, and, all they're doing is practices and being scout team. And, we talk to them about those kind of things. When we set goals to be in the playoffs, we explain to them that, it gives you extra opportunities to be within the program, to continue to be in the weight room, to continue to be on the practice field. We got some that go to other sports, and, that's good. But, it does give the opportunity for them to gain more experience. The other thing is that you make money no matter if you play at home or on the road or whatever. So to build a program, it takes those finances. So every little bit helps. And then, like I said, just the memories of it. I think we're very proud of the fact of, the stretch run that we have as far as playoffs goes, because, for many, when I got here in 2006, we had only been 3 times in the history of DeKalb County football. So 2008 was our first playoff victory, and since then, every year except for 2010, we've been. So that's something that, me as the head coach and, this program, we want to see continue to happen.
Steve, now that we're 9 weeks into the regular season, what has surprised you in a positive manner the most? What has surprised you the most about this 2023 football team?
Well, as far as positive goes, we define what Tiger Pride is in a lot of different ways. And, one of those R's in there, it stands for resilience, and we talk about that. And, all the injuries that we had, especially early, to some really key guys, Malachi going down, thinking he was done for the year, Bria's going down right there, and, really didn't know the situation with that. But then other guys, in and out of the lineup, and then, a big surprise, just some of these young guys that we didn't think we were going to have to rely on until next year when they were juniors, but how they've come in and just solidified the type of people they are and how they go about their business. It makes me feel good about moving forward. But we've always had to deal with something, which, that's part of life. it gives us as head coaches the opportunity just to, teach these young guys that, you got to pull your bootstraps up and you got to keep going. Nobody's going to feel sorry for you, and you got to continue to work. And for the most part, that's what these guys have done for us. And, I appreciate their effort, and I just, hope that they continue to get the opportunities to play in this season.
That's what pleases me most about football is the life lessons that people like you are teaching those kids. Mm-hmm. That, they're not going to be playing football when they're 50 and 60 years old, but they'll remember those lessons that Coach Trapp gave them.
I hope so.
Coach Steve Trapp, we appreciate you being our guest here on the Box Score, and best of luck to the DeKalb County Tigers as they entertain the White County Warriors on Friday night.
I appreciate it, fellas. Thank you.
Good luck, Steve.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we'll take a look at the Huff and Puff Trucking Game of the Week, plus get Murphy's picks when we return to the Box Score, brought to you by Carthage Safeway.
What is your emergency?
I think I'm being robbed.
Sir?
These big home security guys want way too much money from me.
Let's connect you to a local company right away.
It's a crime what big national companies charge for home security.
For just $49.99, get a system with a touch keypad, 3 window or door sensors, motion detector, key fob, and standard installation.
Help is on the way, sir.
Oh, thank you.
Switch now and save. Call or visit DTC Security online today.
Community Wellness Clinic is a nurse practitioner-owned and operated full-service medical clinic. Our emphasis is on good health and wellness throughout every generation of your family. We strive to provide the expert quality of care that our patients deserve and expect. Along with primary care services, we also offer a full complement of urgent care services. Let us be your family's good health partner. Community Wellness Clinic in Woodbury. Phone 615-563-7515.
Nearstar Middle Tennessee Mines in Gordonsville is hiring. We have open positions for Chief Geologist, General Mine Foreman, Mine Engineer, Graduate Mining Engineer, Electrical Superintendent, Mobile Superintendent, Mine Supervisor, and more. We offer competitive wages, excellent benefits, PTO, holiday pay, exceptional 401k, and lots more. Make the most of your future and your career. Join the excellent team at Nearstar Middle Tennessee Mines in Gordonsville.
And welcome back to the Box Score. Terry Collins along with Murphy Fair, Justin Malden, always doing a great job behind the scenes for us. And our Huff and Puff Trucking Game of the Week here on DTC Sports is Marion County, ranked number 2 in Class 2A, coming to Woodbury to play against Cannon County. And, there's a few people from Carthage going over to sneak a peek to look at Marion County.
Sure.
Because they think, hey, that may be a potential opponent in the third round of the playoffs.
They brought a huge crowd to Chapel Hill not last week, but the week before, and I don't know how much of a difference they made in the ball game, but it was a whole lot closer game than a lot of people thought it might be.
And you can see that right here on DTC 3. It'll be Friday night, 6:45, 7 o'clock tip-off. Of course, our show that we're taping here now will air at 6.
That's 7 o'clock kickoff.
7 o'clock kickoff.
You said tip-off. It's not basketball yet, Terry.
I'm thinking about basketball. I've already been approached with that. Let's go ahead and get some Murphy's picks here, talking about East Tennessee. A game that maybe has lost a little luster with the struggles that Maryville's had this year.
Yeah, they've dropped a couple of games already.
But still a big one. Alcoa, I think, sitting there undefeated.
I think so. Brandon Nix, or Coach Nix, has done a really good job replacing Gary Rankin. Of course, he was Gary's right-hand man for several years up there. And you got to pick Alcoa in that game. It's home field advantage. Alcoa has, like I said, Maryville's dropped a couple of games. I don't think Alcoa has lost a game yet this year.
No.
So Gary told me one time that if he could beat Maryville once every 4 or 5 years, he felt like that was a good thing, given all the differences.
Of course, that's 6A playing at Alcoa 3A.
Right.
And then you got Knoxville Webb traveling down to Chattanooga to see Gary Rankin's Buccaneers.
Yeah, Boyd's got a great chance to go undefeated this year. They played very, very well. Gary said they're not at the stage he'd like for them to be at. Not quite good enough, but he said we've been lucky But, you know, Gary doesn't like to brag anyway, so he's he's one of those that's a graduate of the Bear Bryant School of Crying, right?
Bradley Central at Cleveland, Badgers.
Of the 3 games up there, that's the one that I would choose to go to. That ought to be a war. Those schools are maybe 2-3 miles apart, but Bradley Central's got the best team it's had in probably 15 or 20 years.
Right.
And Damon Floyd is really excited about the possibilities in that game.
Let's go ahead and look at the Middle Tennessee picks. Go ahead, Murph. Franklin Road Academy at Christ Presbyterian.
10 out of 9 people would pick CPA to win that ball game, but FRA has been playing lights out football so much better under a new head coach, Justin Geisinger, who was at Pope John Paul II. I think he told me for 11 or 12 years. This is just his 2nd year at FRA, and both of those teams are going to be real competitors when the playoffs roll around.
Centennial at Page.
I talked to the Page coach today, and he's a little worried about that ball game because Centennial, under Coach Stewart, who coached East Nashville the last couple of years, has really turned that program around in a very short period of time. Page is kind of banged up, not quite the team that we've seen the last couple of years in championship games, but it's still a tough place to go, and I think Page probably wins that game.
Of course, Gallatin coming off that upset loss, I think it was to Cookeville. They're going to Springfield.
Yeah, and those 2 teams have probably been playing as long as I have been on this earth, a long, long time. Boy Smith forever and ever, and Calvin at Springfield and Calvin Short at Gallatin. That's going to be a pretty good football game. I think Dustin Wilson at Springfield has got a pretty good football team, but not as good as the last couple of years. And Gallatin under a new coach, I know Michael Trapp very, very well. His son and my grandson played on the same travel baseball team a couple of years ago for a couple of years. He's actually, I think, the freshman quarterback of that Gallatin football team, and ought to be a good one, but I think Springfield's probably got just a little too much speed.
Murphy, go to the West Tennessee picks.
Well, there's a bunch of good ones there. Whitehaven and Collierville. Whitehaven not near the dominating team in Region 8, 6A like they've been over the years. I think Collierville probably wins that game. North Point Christian at Lausanne. North Point's actually in Mississippi, but Lausanne, under my good friend Kevin Locastro, I think rules in that ball game. And then Milan Peabody, normally that'd be an even game, could go either way, but Peabody's awfully young this year, and Milan starts 6 sophomores on offense, and they're pretty strong. I saw them 3 weeks ago, and I'm impressed with that football team. Despite the youth, they're pretty athletic.
All right, Murph, let's go over these local picks.
Local picks. I hate to say this, but I think Bledsoe has a really good chance of winning at Gordonsville. That's not who I'm rooting for if you're a Gordonsville fan listening to this, but I think Bledsoe may have the better team. I'd like to see Gordonsville win that game, but I don't know. Macon at Watertown, I think Macon all the way in that one. DeKalb at White, my heart's telling me vote for DeKalb. I'd like to see Steve keep that 12-year streak alive.
Right.
And Marion at Cannon, with Marion the number 2 team in the state, you got to go with the Warriors in that one.
Murphy, it's starting to get cooler. We feel that in the air.
Yep.
It makes Friday night awfully special.
It really does. It's football season now for sure. And it's amazing how many first and second place teams in regions haven't met yet. That means they meet either this week or next week, and there's going to be some really great games to choose from to go watch.
We want to thank Justin Malden. We want to thank Carthage Safeway for being our title sponsor. And I know Justin had to fill in front of the camera last week. We appreciate him doing that. For Murphy Fair, Justin Malden, I'm Terry Collins. Good night on the Box Score.